You're turning my daughter into a damn maid." Richard Blake's voice slammed against the marble walls of the kitchen like thunder. The room, usually silent and pristine, crackled with tension as the billionaire stormed toward the stove, his expression burning with disbelief. Maya Williams stood still, caught mid-motion as she helped little Anna Blake crack an egg into a bowl. The 6-year-old looked up at her father, eyes wide beneath her tousled curls, still wearing the apron Maya had tied gently around her. "What are you doing?" Richard barked again, stepping between them, instructing her how to fry an egg. "Should I expect her to scrub the floors next?" "Daddy," Anna cried, shrinking behind Mia's legs. But Richard didn't stop. He reached for the skillet, yanked it from the burner, and in one vicious move, flipped the hot scrambled eggs across Maya's apron and blouse. The mixture splashed down her front, steaming faintly on impact. Anna screamed. Maya winced but didn't step back. She met his eyes. "I should fire you on the spot," he hissed. "You're overstepping your place." Anna was sobbing now. No. I asked her to. She was helping me like mommy used to." If you felt connected to the story, give it a like and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Someone nearby might be watching, too. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, brought to you by BUP Stories. Richard turned to scoop his daughter into his arms. She squirmed violently, kicking, her small fists pounding his chest. "Let me go," she shouted. "You're always taking me away from everyone. I want Maya. I want my mommy." "Maya is not your mother," he snapped. "And she never will be." Then, without another word, he stormed out of the kitchen, his daughter screaming over his shoulder. Maya stood frozen, her blouse stained with egg, her hands trembling, not from fear, but from something else, something sharper. She didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. But just before Richard disappeared down the hall, Maya said quietly, firmly what no one in 20 years had ever dared to say to him. "You think you're protecting her, Mr. Blake," she said. "But you're not. You're just building her a prettier prison than the one you grew up in." Richard froze mid-step. The silence in the hallway was deafening. Even Anna stopped crying. He turned slowly. "What did you just say to me?" he asked, voice barely a whisper. Maya stepped forward, her eyes steady and unblinking. "You don't let her outside unless it's scheduled. You don't let her cook, play in the dirt, speak too loud, or even laugh too much. This house is not a home. It's a glass box, and you're locking her inside it one rule at a time." His jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about," she said. "Because I was that child once, and I've seen too many like her grow into adults who don't know how to breathe." For a second, Richard didn't respond. His face was pale, his mouth set in a line that trembled ever so slightly. Then he turned away without another word. Upstairs, Anna cried herself to sleep in his arms, clutching the sleeve of Ma's apron. Later that day, in the silence of his private study, Richard opened a drawer he rarely touched. Inside lay the sealed envelope from his late wife, her handwriting still delicate, still full of a softness he could no longer find in his own life. "To Richard, for when you forget what matters." He opened it. Inside, along with the letter, was a photograph. It showed his wife in a hospital bed, fragile, weary, but smiling. Seated beside her was Maya, younger in nurse's scrubs, gently cradling her hand. He stared at it for a long time. Then he unfolded the letter. "My love," it began. "By now, I fear the walls have grown too tall around you. If they have, let Maya be the one who reminds you how to open the windows again." The words blurred slightly as he blinked. "Mia didn't just care for me." The letter continued. "She stayed when the pain scared everyone else away. She stayed with kindness, with strength. One day she might stay for Anna, too. If you let her." Richard leaned back, the letter resting against his chest. Her words echoed in his mind. A prettier prison. For the first time in years, he felt something crack, not in anger, but in sorrow, and perhaps in guilt. Maya was called into Richard Blake's study before breakfast. The message came through Mrs. Connolly, the housekeeper, with her usual tight-lipped expression that said, "I wasn't told why, and I didn't ask." Maya didn't flinch. She changed into a clean blouse, tied her curls back neatly, and walked through the long, echoing hallway to the study, a room she rarely entered unless summoned. It was Richard's sanctuary, his war room, and she knew stepping into it meant stepping into the fire. She knocked once. "Come in," came the voice. She opened the heavy oak door. Richard was already standing behind his desk, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. The morning light filtered through the tall windows, casting a sharp silhouette against the shelves of legal books and framed business awards. "Mr. Blake," she said, standing straight. "Sit," he said. She didn't. He took a breath. "I need to say something. Actually, a few things." She waited. "You were right," he said, "about yesterday." Her face didn't change. "I thought I was protecting my daughter," he continued, voice even. "But I was limiting her, maybe even hurting her." "And you," he paused. "You saw that before I did." Still, Maya stood. "I watched the video," he said. "The one my wife left and the photos. I saw you with her, with Anna. I saw something I've forgotten how to see in this house. Warmth." Maya's jaw tightened just slightly. "I treated you unfairly," he said. "And I owe you an apology." Her voice was quiet but firm. "I'm not here for apologies, Mr. Blake. I'm here for Anna." "I know," he said. "And that's why I want you to stay." Maya looked him straight in the eye. "Not as a servant," he nodded. "Not as a servant." There was a long pause between them. No hostility, just the uncomfortable silence of truth settling in. "You're a bridge," he said finally, his voice softer than she'd ever heard. "Between what this house was and what it could be." This time, Mia sat. Earlier that morning, before this conversation, Richard had sat awake in the dark of his study. The weight of Mia's words from the day before gnawing at him. "You're just building her a prettier prison." The phrase had gutted him. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was. He'd built the house like a fortress, clean, beautiful, insulated. Anna didn't go anywhere without a driver. Her playdates were curated. Her books were chosen. Her laughter had become quieter over the years, as if afraid to disturb the silence he worked so hard to protect. And now, after one morning of spilled eggs and a woman who dared to speak what others wouldn't, that silence had shattered. After Maya left the study, Richard went to the kitchen. He stood where she had stood the day before. He looked around, not at the appliances or the gleaming counter, but at the absence. No Anna, no Maya, just stillness. From a drawer in the kitchen island, he retrieved the wooden box his wife had hidden away. It contained photos, memories of Anna, her mother, and Maya baking, laughing, living. There was also a USB. The video opened with Anna waving at the camera, about 4 years old, flower in her hair. "Hi, Daddy," she chirped. "I'm making cookies with Maya." Then the camera tilted and caught his wife's tired but smiling face. "If you're watching this," she said, "then maybe you've forgotten what joy looks like in this house. Let me remind you, it's messy, loud, unscheduled, and it smells like burnt cookies and too much vanilla, but it's real." He sat at the kitchen island and watched it 3 times. Later, when Anna came down for breakfast, she was quiet. She pushed toast around her plate, not meeting his eyes. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said. "Morning," she replied, barely audible. "Did you sleep okay?" She shrugged. "About yesterday. I was wrong." She glanced up. "Is Maya leaving?" "No," he said, "not unless she wants to." Tears sprang to Anna's eyes and she flung her arms around him. "Don't ever make her go, Daddy. She's the only one who listens." "I know," he said, holding her gently. Downstairs, Maya sat in the staff quarters, folding laundry with quiet hands. Her notebook lay open beside her, showing Anna's crayon writing, "Cooking is how I talk to Mommy." She closed it slowly and looked out the window. She didn't know what would come next, but she had seen something shift in Richard's eyes, something unfamiliar. Not pity, not dominance, but maybe, a man who'd finally seen the cracks in his own walls. And maybe, just maybe, he was ready to let the light in. For the first time in a long time, the sun touched the Blake estate differently, not filtered through the drawn curtains or reflected off glass, but freely pouring across the marble floors of the breakfast room where Anna now sat beside Maya. No nannies, no chefs, no scripted structure, just two people, one young, one patient, cracking eggs into a bowl again. "Remember what I told you about the shell?" Maya said softly, guiding Anna's small hands. "Don't let it fall in," Anna said, then giggled. "But if it does, use a bigger piece of shell to get it out." "Exactly." At the threshold of the room, Richard watched silently. He hadn't announced himself. He didn't want to interrupt. Something about the ease between them. The rhythm of the moment felt sacred, like stepping into a song already in progress. He saw his daughter smiling. Not the performative smile she wore at charity galas or formal dinners, but the unfiltered kind, the kind her mother used to bring out of her. He turned and walked away before they noticed him. By mid-morning, Anna tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy," he looked up from his tablet. "Yes, can I show Maya the garden?" His brow furrowed. "What garden?" "The one Mommy made with the gate." He blinked. It had been years. The greenhouse behind the west wing had been locked since his wife passed. No one tended the roses anymore. The herbs had wilted. He had sealed it off, said it was too painful, too private. But Anna remembered. He looked at Maya, who stood a respectful distance away. "She knows the way," Anna added. Richard hesitated, then nodded once. "Take the key from the study," he said. "Bottom drawer." Minutes later, Maya stood in front of the iron gate, holding Anna's hand. Vines had grown thick around the edges. The paint on the hinges chipped, but the lock still turned with a soft click. Anna pushed it open like a door to another world. Inside, the garden had become wild. Not dead, but wild. Lavender had overtaken the walking path. Tomato vines clung to trellises long abandoned. Bees hummed, and the faint scent of rosemary still hung in the air. Anna ran forward barefoot in the dirt, spinning beneath the trellises. "It's still here." Maya stepped in more slowly. She looked around, touched the old wooden bench where she once sat beside a woman too frail to stand, but still insistent on feeling the sun on her skin. This was no ordinary garden. It had been sanctuary, a place where Maya had listened to a dying woman whisper hopes for her daughter. A place where she'd promised without words to keep Anna connected to something real. Anna dropped to her knees, digging with her fingers. "I think there's carrots here." Or were. Or maybe they ran away. Mia smiled. "Carrots are tricky like that." They stayed until the sun tilted west. Then Anna lay on the grass, eyes closed, humming to herself, while Maya sat nearby, wiping her hands on a towel, heart strangely full. But as the breeze picked up and the afternoon cooled, a shadow passed over them both, Richard's voice calling from the hallway. When they returned to the house, Maya led Anna upstairs for a bath while Richard waited by the study window, holding the garden key. He turned it over in his hand like a foreign object. When Mia came down, he was still there. She remembered, he said without turning. All these years, she remembered the garden. She didn't just remember. Maya said. She was waiting for someone to let her back in. He finally looked at her, and I was the one who locked it. There was no judgment in her eyes, only truth. Richard exhaled. "You know, I used to believe that control was love, that the more I kept her safe, the more I was honoring my wife. Sometimes love means letting things grow wild," Mia said gently. With chatter. Maya led them through rows of tomato plants and herbs, teaching them how to press a basil leaf and smell its story. "This is called garden-based learning," she explained. "Learning that uses the garden as an outdoor classroom." The children watched in fascination as she demonstrated how seeds sprout and leaves release their scent. One boy asked, "Why do plants grow?" Because they want to live, Maya said. And because we help them with sun, water, care. She handed each child a packet of seeds to plant in the school's raised beds. Throughout the visit, Richard watched the dynamic unfold. Curiosity blossoming into understanding, hands muddying while minds blossomed. He recognized that the garden was doing more than feeding bodies. It was nourishing hearts and futures. After the kids left, their teachers lingered, thanking Maya and Richard for planting hope in young hearts. That evening, as Maya and Anna gathered vine-ripened tomatoes for the local community kitchen, the phone rang. It was Gregory Langston with good news. The outreach pilot is being expanded, he said. Your program is being modeled across other districts. Luke Cumming Foundation will spotlight your approach. Ma's breath caught. This means cultural change, she whispered. Richard closed his eyes, letting the news settle. That's because it started with a seed, he said. A promise. 0. Later, in the twilight, Mia sat beside the sunflowers. Anna curled beside her, a page from her garden journal in hand. Maya read aloud. Today I learned that seeds are stories waiting for sunlight. Anna grinned. My teacher wants seeds now, too. Mia hugged her. Yours were the first. Nearby, Richard stood, watching those two under a canopy of growth and promise. The estate no longer held memories as sharp reminders of loss. It pulsed with life, community, and expansion beyond its walls. The garden had taken root not only in the soil but in the hearts of many. School children learning compassion, families gaining nourishment, and a community finding connection. As the sun sank low, painting petals gold, Maya leaned her head on Richard's shoulder. We planted more than food this season. He kissed her head. We planted a future due. And in that quiet assertion under the tall sunflowers, with the world beginning to take notice, a legacy grew far beyond what they had ever imagined. Early summer mornings brought a fresh stillness to the garden, dew leaves and quiet promise in the air. Maya knelt among a tangle of basil and peppers, planning the next day's outreach harvest. While Anna chased a ladybug through the sunflowers, the island of green behind the estate pulsed with newfound life. Richard emerged from the house carrying a letter with a university seal in the corner. He handed it to Maya, who looked at the messenger's name: Bentley College of Social Sciences. Inside a note read, "Invitation to speak at the Community Wellness Conference on the Impacts of Horticultural Outreach." Maya blinked. They want us to present. He nodded. Not just garden-based programs, but our model. Homegrown roots reaching outward. This was more than recognition. It was validation. Later that week, Maya stood before a throng of social workers, educators, and health professionals. Her words rooted in stories from their garden-based initiative. She cited research showing how community gardens improve nutrition, mental well-being, and social cohesion. Turn 0 search 0. Turn 0 search 1. Turn 0 search 1. 1. She spoke of how second graders learn science not from textbooks but from seeds sprouting beneath their fingers, echoing studies of garden-based learning lifting academic and nutritional outcomes. Turn 0 search 15. Turn 0 search 16. Turn 0 search 17. A teacher raised her hand. How did you sustain engagement across families? Maya smiled. We didn't just share produce. We shared purpose. We invited children, caretakers, elders, everyone to plant, to taste, to belong. Applause followed. A community health practitioner approached. Her eyes bright. Our clinic's looking for therapeutic programming to reduce anxiety and isolation. Your model would work beautifully here. Maya's heart stirred. This was impact, not ambition. Back at home, the garden hummed with energy. A new initiative began. Planting extra rows. Plant a row for the hungry style. Turn 0 News 2-3 for the local soup kitchen. Anna helped chattering about kindness in each seed. Elsewhere, a local elder who'd lived in apartments with no backyard stood among the produce, smiling. This garden gave me back sunshine, she said. And company. Richard surveyed the rows being volunteered for the community. Families, refugees, seniors, kids. The garden had become not just a plot of land, but a shared heartbeat across a city. Turn 0, search 27. Turn 0. Search 1. That night, Richard and Maya stood under the old oak tree. Stars shimmered overhead. "We become part of something bigger," he whispered. "Because you opened the attic, spoke the truth, tended the garden, and trusted presence over perfection." He kissed her forehead. "We planted hope. And now we're harvesting it." "No." Anna appeared, sleepy-eyed but determined, holding a handful of basil leaves. "Daddy, can we make pesto for everyone tomorrow?" Maya and Richard nestled her between them. "Yes," Richard said. "Tomorrow we feed many more hearts." In the golden hush, the estate exhaled not as a house, but as home, where seeds spent seasons growing into something whole. Dawn broke over the Blake estate with a gentle hush, sunlight filtering through golden petals of the sunflowers. The garden, now taller and fuller than ever, rustled awake. Maya knelt among basil and heirloom tomatoes, preparing small seed packets for the school partnership. Anna darted between the rows, humming, her laughter light enough to buoy the entire space. Richard emerged, carrying a survey report from the school district. He handed it to Maya, whose curiosity rippled into anticipation as she scanned the numbers. "Since your garden-based curriculum began, student anxiety indexes declined by 20% and vegetable consumption at home rose by 35%. Research supports this. According to scholars, community gardens and garden-based learning notably lower stress, anxiety, and depression while fostering a stronger sense of belonging and social cohesion." "We're not just teaching science or nutrition," Maya said, her voice catching. "We're healing children." Richard nodded. Around them, the garden shimmered with testimony. Healthy leaves, vibrant hearts, and tiny faces growing stronger. Moments later, the post office van arrived unexpected with a crate labeled Plant a Row Initiative. Inside surplus produce ready for donation to the local food pantry. The Plant Arrow for the Hungry campaign encouraging gardeners to plant extra produce for neighbors in need had extended its reach to them. Anna's eyes widened. More food for more people. Maya knelt to her level. "Yes, we grow it for joy and share it with kindness." By afternoon, crates of fresh vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, basil, were loaded for the soup kitchen. Volunteers, some from the outreach program, others from the neighborhood, arrived to help prepare meals. Inside the kitchen, steam curled from pots and laughter echoed. Anna, perched on a stool, helped stir sauce while Maya guided another group in decorating meal bags for families. A woman in line held a young child and whispered to Maya, "This food tastes like care, like someone thought we mattered." Her gratitude enveloped the room. Elsewhere, a local mental health counselor observed quietly from a doorway. She later told Maya, "Seeing people tend gardens and then nourish others, it's the kind of therapy that doesn't require a prescription." It echoed findings that gardening is therapeutic across ages, supports mental resilience, and encourages community healing. That night, Maya and Richard sat on the veranda, the day's warmth lingering in the air. Anna slept upstairs, dreaming of seeds and stories. Richard broke the quiet. "We've done more than grow plants." Maya turned to him. "We're growing something deeper." He nodded. A connected community, a caring circle. They talked in soft tones until stars settled above. The garden bathed in moonlight pulsed with quiet vigor, roots underground, lives intertwined, hope alive. And when Maya looked at Richard, there was no pretense, only shared conviction. That love sown in soil blossoms into extraordinary change. Under that gentle sky, they held on to what mattered. Seeds planted, hearts nurtured, and endless tomorrows waiting to be harvested. Early morning mist rolled softly across the garden, lending a dreamlike quality to the heirloom tomatoes, basil, and sunflowers that now stood tall and vibrant. Their colors, deep crimson, rich green, sunny gold, felt alive, rooted in purpose and promise. Maya walked among the rows, each plant familiar as an old friend. She bent to touch a ripest tomato, its skin warm, sweetness waiting. These heirloom tomatoes were more than produce. They were symbols of heritage and continuity, passed down through seed and story, as meaningful as a family keepsake. She harvested gently as if coaxing memories into the basket. Anna bounded up, her voice soft with awe. "Look, Mama, the tomatoes are full grown." Maya smiled, just like us. Richard joined them, arms full of watering cans and pruning shears, and together they tended the garden under a perfect early summer sky. Later, they prepared for the final event of the pilot outreach program, a community celebration right in the field. Tables were laid out beneath tall sunflowers, rustic baskets overflowing with produce, handwritten signs reading, "From seed to story, and healing grows here." No. The crowd gathered, families whose children had attended garden sessions, elders who found peace among the rows, local volunteers, and teachers. The atmosphere was alive, genuine. Richard stepped up to speak, and Maya watched from the side. "Look around," he began, voice steady. "This is what community looks like. Hands in soil, hearts connected. Growth not just in plants, but in people." He paused, allowing that to settle. "Our garden began as a seed in grief and silence. But with courage, with love, and with the unwavering presence of someone who chose to stay, it became something greater." He gestured toward Maya. "Maya, embodying Margaret's faith in us, has healed us all." Applause broke loose, soft, sincere, sustained. Maya stepped forward. "This garden did more than grow food," she said, her voice glowing with emotion. "It's grown confidence in children, rooted belonging in elders, restored trust. Studies show that hands in the soil reduce anxiety and boost well-being. Gardens connect us to nature, to each other, and to ourselves." A teacher raised her hand. "My students learn more about science and nutrition here than anywhere else." Maya nodded. "Garden-based learning teaches life, how things grow, how they heal, how we thrive together." As sunset painted the sky amber, guests wandered through the garden, sampling fresh basil, sipping tomato juice, trading recipes and stories. Laughter bounced off sunflower heads. Anna led a small group in planting sunflower seeds into paper pots, each child writing a wish on the pot before filling it with soil. Later, as fireflies blinked and lanterns flickered, Maya found Richard under the oak tree. He held a small packet of seeds. "For next spring," he said. "New things to bloom." Maya leaned against him. "We're ready." He looked out at the garden, lush, tender, full of life. "We've harvested more than food," he whispered. "We've harvested belonging, healing, legacy." She closed her eyes. "Full bloom," she said. He kissed her forehead. "And beyond." And in that golden dusk, under a sky spun with hope, the Blake estate exhaled a home not only of walls or memory, but of seeds sown, love nurtured, and families reborn. This story reminds us that healing often begins in the most unexpected places, like a garden. It teaches us that with patience, compassion, and the courage to confront painful truths, we can rebuild not only ourselves, but also the communities around us. Through Maya's resilience and Richard's transformation, we see how seeds of empathy once planted can grow into legacies of justice, inclusion, and love. True strength lies not in control, but in connection, and sometimes the quiet act of tending to the earth can be the loudest call for change. Brought to you by BUP Stories.